everyone, and welcome to the fourth and final Moody Talk about shame. Okay, so shame, we've gone through 3 other Moody Talks, and I hope you'll have a chance to go back if you haven't seen them already, because they have a lot of great information and coping skills, that kind of thing. We also discussed the difference between shame, functional shame, and toxic shame, which I think is extremely important, not just for yourself to understand, but to understand when you're communicating with others. So I hope that you'll have a chance to go back and take a look at those. Also, there's a lot of talk about non-judgmentalness and using that on yourself when you feel you're in a shameful moment or an event happened that you can't seem to let go of. And this week, we're going to talk a bit more about that when it's really, really difficult to get yourself out of that shame feeling because of something that happened or a series of things that happened. Okay, so what I'll be discussing is in DBT, there's these 3 little bubbles. It's your thoughts, your mindset, that kind of thing. And what we have are we have emotion mind, and we have reasonable mind, and then we have wise mind, which is right in the middle, okay? So what happens when you're in emotion mind and you just can't seem to get out of it? Well, you have to have a plan, right? Because there's no need to be sitting there and, feeling awful about something you did. And it may have already gone, like the event may be over and it processed and people are okay or they're not okay. But either way, you can't sit in shame forever, right? If it's constantly gnawing at you, you're going to feel not like you're a very good person, because that's when it starts to turn to toxic shame. If you have an event that happened and you feel shame for it, something happened, you did something that wasn't, very nice, or it was incorrect in some way, and you've talked to the other people involved, and maybe they're just not happy with the way that it turned out, and maybe you did lose a friend, or the trust of a coworker or something like that. You can't sit in that feeling forever, because then you're going to be afraid to do other things. You're going to be afraid to show who you are as a person, because you'll be so afraid that something you'll do is wrong. And you can't live your life that way, right? So I have pulled up together the reducing vulnerability and emotion mind for shame, okay? These are some DBT skills that are used in order to build yourself back up from that feeling of shame, okay? So we're going to jump right smack into it, okay? So there's ABC. Okay, so this is something that DBT likes to do a lot. They like to take letters and use them so that people remember what they are, right? So this is the ABCs for reducing vulnerability and emotion mind. Here we go. So you need to accumulate positive emotions. So that's long and short term. You can do it right in the moment, but you also have to do things for yourself that bring you out of it in the long term, so that you're building back up your esteem, or your level of comfort in going out there into a social circle or society in general. It's really important that we build ourselves up and keep positive thoughts and positive things that have happened to us in mind, right? So increase your daily pleasant activities. So do something nice for yourself once a day at least. Especially if you're feeling like you're so ashamed of yourself. You need to start building pleasant activities, things that are going to make you feel better, things that are going to make you feel like you're bettering yourself. Because if you're in that deep, deep shame, maybe doing something that, may have been a part of that event or situation, and turning it into a positive, that you've learned something, which is really important. If you're feeling that shame, you're telling yourself, I learned from that, and now I'm going to reinforce positive thoughts about it, that I've learned my lesson, and here we go, and now I'm doing this instead, right? So you create goals with your morals and values, right? So this comes down again to shame. You're thinking about what you feel is valuable, what your morals are, and build goals to acquire those, those positive moral values that you have, right? And then be mindful of positive experiences as they occur. Important, really important, because this means that you can go back and you can think, well, this was what positive that happened, and have that in your memory of the positive things that have happened since then. This is all to acquire getting your self-esteem back, getting yourself into a space where you can feel comfortable going out into the world. Because I know when I get into shameful moments, or I'm feeling the toxic shame that I can feel on a regular basis, I want to hide away. I want to isolate. But doing things like this is going to help you to understand that there are positive things that happen in life. And you can remember the good things that have happened since, right? Okay. Next, we go to B, build mastery. So this means schedule activities to build a sense of accomplishment. You always wanted to do something like, knit even. You knit, or, build a wall. I don't know, something that, you've always wanted to do. It's time to start doing those things so that you can feel more accomplished about yourself and feel more positive about yourself. Look, I can do this, and I always wanted to do it, so let's do it, right? So doing these kind of things and building up that sense of accomplishment is really important for your self-esteem and to be able to move forward. Choose difficult tasks, such as practicing non-judgmentalness. If you go back, you can listen to that, because practicing non-judgmentalness is pretty tough, especially when maybe you've lived a long time with people who are very judgy, right? So, but these things need to be possible. You can't choose something that's difficult and impossible for you to do. It's got to be something that you can actually accomplish and feel great about. Okay? Now, C, cope ahead. So if these things are not coming to mind, you're not thinking of the positive stuff, you're, really not in a great space, maybe not even a safe space, which is very, very important for us to all be in, is a safe space. You need to learn to cope ahead. Okay, so you need to build up a toolbox of things that you can do in that time where you're distressed and your emotions are all over the place. Okay, so checking the facts. I've done this a few times in past Moody Talks. Checking the facts is really important, because you need to know, number one, am I feeling the correct emotion for this? Number two, what are the facts actually? What happened? Is that something that I should be feeling this shame for, right? Check the facts when you're in the situation. So that's the number one thing I always recommend people to do. And it helps me a lot, because I can step back and be like, okay, I'm judging myself, right? And the facts actually say that I don't, that I don't need to be feeling this shame. It's unjustified, right? Okay. Choose a breathing method that helps. I do box breathing. So if I'm in a distressful situation and I need to step back and I leave whatever situation I'm in and need to step back and pull my, emotions back and bring myself back to wise mind, I do box breathing. So what box breathing is you breathe in for 4, you hold for 4, you breathe out for 4, and then you hold for 4 again. And doing this really starts to settle down those, you got so much going on and your mind's blowing up all over the place. If you stop and you can recognize your breath and make your breath actually do something that you have to listen to and to do as, as that coping strategy. So breathing in for 4, you count to 4, hold it for 4, breathe out for 4, and then hold it again for 4. I breathe out so much in that 4 that sometimes it's hard to hold on to that, hold at the bottom 4. So maybe you might not want to breathe all of your breath out at the last part, so that you can have a little while you hold it. Okay? It's just something that I've always noticed that I do myself. So, box breathing. It gets your mind off of what's happening and onto what you're doing in the moment. Breathing. Okay. And finally, distract yourself with your senses. This is another great thing. I use tools like I listen to music. I'll listen to it loud. I'll sing. I'll scream it. I'll watch a favorite show. Even if I've seen it 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, I go back to that particular TV show and I watch it so that I can feel, laughter or, a different emotion than what I'm actually feeling right now that is being so distressful for me. Okay. And then this is one that I do not like to do, but a lot of people get into this and really are all about it. Changing your body temperature. And when I say that, I mean cold. So some people love to put their face in an ice bath or go out with like a t-shirt and some jeans in the middle of winter and go for a walk. I myself can't handle that at all. I can't do the cold thing. But so many people say that it works wonders for them. So try it. And if you hate it, don't do it again. If you love it, then you have a new coping skill, right? Something that you can go back to wake yourself up out of that emotion you're feeling, like we're talking about shame, but it brings you out of it and thinking about your body temperature and how fast it changed. Really helps. Not for me, but maybe for you. So that's ABC for reducing vulnerability in emotion mind. I hope that this helped. It helps me out a lot. So I really, really suggest downloading this worksheet, having it out and available. And this is for any emotion. This isn't just for shame. This is for fear, sadness, all the different ones, anger, especially anger, because you can get yourself out of that moment in the ABCs here. Okay, guys, we've got another Moody Talk to pick out for next month. If you have any specific emotion that I haven't done yet that you're interested in learning more about, please comment, DM me. I would love to talk to you about it. If you have any questions about what I talked about this month, this week, other weeks, again, DM me or put it in the comments so that we can talk about it, because this is a safe space to talk about it. I will see you guys next week, and have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.